Welcome back to another Genshin Impact beginner guide video. My name is Xnel and today we are simplifying Elemental Mastery. Should I use Elemental Mastery on my main DPS? Should I use Elemental Mastery on my support DPS? Is high Elemental Mastery necessary for high elemental reaction damage? Should I put crit stats on a character with high Elemental Mastery? All that and more, and we will try to make it as simple, quick, and painless as possible. I will not be going into formulas, but I will link all the sources in a pinned comment. Before we discuss all about the reactions and everything else, what you need to know is Elemental Mastery does not affect elemental skills and elemental burst damage. Elemental Mastery only affects elemental reaction damage. It's when you put one element and then another element together, kaboom, reaction damage. Alright, elemental reaction damage always depends on the character triggering the reaction. In other words, it's the second element to be applied to an enemy. The first character stats do not matter. Now, let's categorize the elemental reactions. Type 1 is melt and vaporize. Type 2, electro-charge, overload, superconduct, shattered, swirl. So anything to do with electro, anything to do with animo, which is always a swirl, that's type 2. Now the last type is type 3, which only contains crystallize. I separated it because it doesn't do damage. Type 1, which is melt and vaporize, scales off of damage and elemental mastery. Type 2 and 3 scales off of level of character triggering the reaction and elemental mastery. Type 1 reactions multiply the damage done by either 1.5 times or 2 times, depending on the order of application, plus some bonus from elemental mastery. And this damage can also crit. Basically what it is if Klee attacks, let's look at the damage. So that's 1022. That damage will be multiplied by 2 times if the opponent has a cryo effect. So there we go, 2419. I did 1022 damage times 2, that's 2044, plus some bonuses from elemental mastery. So in summary, type 1, melt and vaporize are mainly just multipliers to the damage that you would already have done without the reaction. And it also crits. So if you're doing melt or vaporize, you can do crit damage. It just multiplies that damage if you do a melt or vaporize reaction. Type 2 is different, wherein the damage from the elemental reaction is a separate damage number. And it is not concerned with how much damage the trigger character would have done without the reaction. It doesn't care if Lisa's doing 50k damage. What type 2 elemental reaction scale off of is character level plus the elemental mastery of the character triggering the reaction. Apply pyro, and then pay attention to the second number. There's another number below of 2643. Now, that damage does not crit. It does not crit. So if you're building for overload damage or electro-charged damage, the crit stats on your trigger character is not taken into account. All right, cool. Now the last one, type 3, is just crystallize, which doesn't deal damage but gives you shields. It is also scales with character level and elemental mastery and makes the shield stronger. So we won't get into that because you guys watch this video for the damage. So in summary, reaction damage is only affected by the trigger character's stats. Type 1 reaction scales off of damage and elemental mastery, but damage matters more and can also crit. Type 2 reactions scale off of character level and elemental mastery, but character level matters more and cannot crit. Alright, so now that you are equipped with this knowledge, you look at your team composition. Think about who is triggering the elemental reactions, whether it be your main DPS or support, what element are they using, and who applies what element first, and then build accordingly. Now you might ask how much elemental mastery is ideal. The higher, the better. But remember, type 1, the damage matters more. The attack of the character and elemental damage of the character matters more for type 1. And for type 2, character level matters more. So, if I did not clear anything up feel free to drop by our live streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on fb.gg/xnlgaming. If you like the content, if the content is what you enjoy and the content is what you find value in, follow if you're on Facebook, subscribe if you're on YouTube, join our Discord as well. We got 2,000 members in there, lots of high level players. You can find parties there. Ask for help with your builds in there. And also, if you want to support the content, you can be a supporter, link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you around.